The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. For thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. These were the words of David, or Daud in Hebrew, also recorded in Psalm 23. King Daud or King David probably uttered those words while he was being pursued by King Saul, who was seeking Daud's or David's life. It is possible that he uttered those words even after many members, if not all, of his family were killed by King Saul and his subordinated soldiers. A similar passage is found in Job chapter 1, verse 21. When Job, having lost almost everything he had, his whole property, his 10 children on a single day, said, "The Lord has given and the Lord has taken. Blessed be the name of the Lord," which is currently recorded in Job chapter 1, verse 21. Today, I witnessed on the ABC broadcasting channel the tragic, indeed heartbreaking scenes close to so-called Ground Zero, where the Twin Towers stood until the early dawn of September the 11th of the Gregorian year 2001. Some 20 years ago. Sad, heartbreaking memories have risen once again. It was even more heartbreaking to witness young people, even children, expressing their grief of the loss of those whom they had not even seen since their births on this earth. They missed their loved ones who died, and many of them who were too young to recognize that alarming situation occurring on a single day in New York City, in Pennsylvania, in Washington, D.C., holding the world, or I should say, the world's breath at a standstill position. Some 20 years have gone by, or I should say exactly 20 years have gone by. And that day remains quite vivid even on my mind. Although I'm neither an American citizen, and honestly speaking, I have never even been to the United States of America. But I have many friends and relatives living in that country. And I do recall the worries confronted by them on that day. No doubt this was not the only situation when people had to mourn the dead. Not long ago, hardly 10 months ago, I spoke live on this channel, YouTube, as well as on Facebook. This was the 8th of November of the Gregorian year 2020, expressing my grief, my sorrow, my concerns and my worries about the situations occurring during those 2 world wars, followed by many other wars, and continuing on that particular day. And indeed, even today, on this 11th of September of the Gregorian year 2021, it is Saturday evening in my country. But I am obliged to raise a very simple question. What causes these individuals to become terrorists? Is it only their selfish desires, selfish greed, the craving of self-exaltation, or is there something behind it? I fail to understand, with all due regrets, worries, indeed grief, why many youngsters, young people, hardly completed their youths, even minors, joined various terrorist organizations. My apologies. I fail to understand why we, the citizens of the world, who are well advanced in age, fail to comprehend the problems of the youths. Why do we not take the time to ascertain what is on their minds? If I'm not wrong, last month, the month of August, was supposed to be dedicated to the youths. On a certain day of that month, it used to be a custom to call that particular day International Youth Day. Are we really spending sufficient time in ascertaining the problems on their minds, the questions with which they are confronted? I fear to admit, regret to admit, I'm ashamed to admit, no, we do not do so. We often fail to do so. We need to ascertain why young people leaving their cozy homes, their loving families, the countries of considerably great luxuries, if I may use in plural, are so intensely intending to join such extremist groups like the ISIS, and in the past the other terrorist organizations. Why they wanted to take part in self-destructing missions, in suiciding missions, as it happened also on September the 11th of the Gregorian year 2011, I beg your pardon, 2001. And thereafter, and before that time, and it continues even today. While sharing the grief of the people of the United States of America, who remember today the loss they and their relatives suffered on September the 11th, 2001. And while sharing the grief and the sorrows of others who lost and continue to lose their loved ones in various types of violence, in warlike situations, in unofficial wars, even as victims of terrorist attacks and various types of atrocities. I raise this question today. And unless we find a solution, I venture to add with all due humility, regrets, sadness, and worries, unless we find a proper solution to this problem or these problems, we are going to see the occurrence similar to 9/11, 2001, again in future. The incidents or the incidences which took place in the United States of America on the 11th of September of the Gregorian year 2001 were not the only ones. Terrorist attacks followed in a metro railway station in England, in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, I should say, in the United Kingdom, in Spain, in my own country, India, and in various other parts of the world. We need to be patient with the youths in order to convince them that violence is the wrong path to choose, which causes destruction to those young lives of those very youths as well as others. We need to remember that great phrase used by a great American president, unity gives strength, something that was reflected upon even on this very day, this Saturday, September the 11th of the Gregorian year 2021, uttered by many people, even while mourning the dead and missing the dead in the United States of America. We need to unite ourselves in the world, finding out the problems of those who are plagued by violence, or violent thoughts, I should say more correctly, and we need to find a solution. Effective to the world as a whole. We should choose the right path and guide the young people to do the same. I thank you in anticipation for your kind understanding, and particularly for watching this live telecasting of mine on this late evening Indian Standard Time of September the 11th, 2021, Saturday. While I wish you the protection of God the Almighty, and remain at your service with all due humiliation and sincerity. Thank you once again. God bless.